the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, and human rights activist, Mr. Sowore, has just been released, well, in the last 48 hours from Kuje prison. He's back now in the trenches and, of course, is here with us live, joining us from our Abuja studio to talk to us about other related issues, especially as 2027, is upon us already. Mr. Sowore, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, for someone who has spent quite a number of days in Kuje prison, you do look fresh this morning. Speaking of which, let's begin from there. We've heard you talk about your experience there, but I'm more curious about, some would say you're a regular customer with Nigerian prisons now, following past events, but more importantly, your observations with the prison system. And if you became president, what are the changes that Nigerians should expect?
Well, I went to prison, but what they call prison in Nigeria is a correction center. For those who might have fallen in love with the adjective, let me make it clear that there's nothing corrective in the correctional center, and it is not different from what you get on the outside. But how to process it is to say to everyone that if the Nigerian government don't care about those of you who are on the outside, not necessarily free, why do you think they'll care about people who are intentionally dumped in prison for different reasons? But what I found very interesting, well, not interesting, it's public knowledge, is that a majority of the prisoners there are still likely awaiting trial prisoners. That is to say, in that prison, there were over 1,158 people while I was there, and 871 of them are awaiting trial. Some of them have been awaiting trial for years, some as long as 10 years, as someone told me. I met a guy who had served his entire term, and they restarted another section of his trial, and it's been there for another 7 years now, according to him. He was in prison there in, I think, when he was 22 years old, and he's now 36, still awaiting trial. So the prisons are generally overpopulated, sanitary conditions are terrible. I was in prison at the time that they said over 37 prisoners there were undergoing treatment for tuberculosis. The tuberculosis were detected in December, and they've been undergoing treatment for 6 months. Nobody can tell you whether they have improved or not, and we don't even know who is who, because it's jam-packed. And they deliberately, of course, upon my bail being revoked, DSS sent a delegation to the prison to make sure they put me in the population that had tuberculosis patients. So there's nothing there to celebrate. But the question you asked me is what I would do. Of course, we are going to, when we get to power in this country, reform the entire process, make it correctional. And what I would do mostly is to engage in non-custodian, reforms. We don't need a lot of people who are in prison to be in prison. A lot of people who are in prison are there because they can fulfill their bail conditions. Some bail conditions are as low as 5 million sureties requirements, and people can't fulfill it because there's nobody. The bail conditions are set by judges and police and DSS, and they collaborate in such a way that you can't meet them. And so a lot of people are languishing in jail. I met some people who are forest guards. They've been there now for 75 days. They said they were arrested because they said they were forming an illegal organization. The NSA detained them for 35 days. Then when Femi Falana intervened, they took them to Kuje. And after they were granted bail, they haven't been able to fulfill their bail conditions, 7 of them. And because it's almost impossible to fulfill these bail conditions the way they are set. So you have a lot of people who are in prison just trying to meet bail. So many of them are put there for very, very minimal offenses. So in general, we should think about how we can punish people without sending them to prison, or not punish them for offenses they didn't commit. And likely, prison in Nigeria is a place for class war. What I mean class war is that it's usually the poor people, likely poor people who are in prison, a majority. I met a guy who said he was only able to get 2 court dates in a year. And when he went to court, they adjourned, and that's it. Like, I met another guy who doesn't even go to court because the prison said they don't have vehicles to take him to the court. The court that he was being tried at is a remote court in Abuja, so they don't even bother to take him to court anymore. Yet he's there as a prisoner. So reforms, yes, to improve and ensure that the prison system is also part of society so that you can correct and reform people. But what we have in Nigeria today is there's nothing corrective about it. In fact, a lot of criminal activities are happening in prison because the prisoners have to survive. There's no prisoner, no average prisoner can eat prison food, for instance. But there's huge budget for prison food. There's a lot going on. But like I said, who will care about prisons when they don't care about you? Even when you're not in prison.
So talk to us about the kinds of, you mentioned a few others, because right now every experience you have is going to be a pointer for us to ask you what you're going to do differently. So issues around awaiting trial, the kinds of reform require, what will it be? Because it's not a today conversation. Since I was young, now this is where I am. I'm still hearing about awaiting trial. Is it a problem that cannot be solved? Where are the lapses? Is it in administration of justice? Is it where is the missing link here? Because these are human beings as well.
Well, like I said, it has something to do with a broken system, a broken justice system. But it also has something to do with our society being a very discriminatory society, where the powerful, that description they say about the elephant and the cobweb, that an elephant can pass through the cobweb and an ant can't. So it is that the prisons are populated by poor people who already are suffering inequality in our system. That is number one. But the most important thing you've mentioned, I knew about awaiting trial in 1989 or thereabout, when we were at the University of Lagos and Femi Falana came to address us, and we've been talking about awaiting trial my entire adult life. And I wasn't shocked, but when I got to prison, because they have a board there where they write out the names of, the list of people who are in the prison and under which category. The awaiting trial population is the highest. 871 persons are awaiting trial in prison. So that means if all the awaiting trial issues were trashed, most of them probably won't even be in prison in the first place. But how can you not await trial when there are no vehicles to take you to court? Or when the judges adjourn a case for 6 months? Or sometimes the judges don't even show up in court at all. And in some cases, it is a connivance between security agents, our legal system, particularly magistrates. Oh my goodness, the magistrate courts are evil in Nigeria. They will know that they have no jurisdiction over a case. It might be a federal case, but they would accept to send somebody to prison over a matter they have no jurisdiction and they have no intention to solve. So they will just send you to prison. It's summary. It's like summary conviction. It's happened to several persons. Most of the people that are in prison were sent there by policemen, likely, who connive with all these magistrates. They will go obtain an order to detain somebody for 14 days for a case they claim they're investigating, that they are not investigating. At the end of the day, those people are forgotten in the prisons. And also, the chief judge of Abuja or the chief judge of every state is supposed to visit the prisons on a regular basis and take a look at the prison population. The chief judge of Abuja hasn't been there in a year. So all of the processes that are put in place to ensure that these populations are reduced they're not functioning in any way. So that's a problem. It's a problem of access to justice. It's a problem of negligence. It's a problem of connivance between all the security agencies and several other. Yes, it's terrible.
It really, it's a cause for worry. You mentioned the courts earlier, and speaking of which, just to hover on the periphery around the reasons for which you are being tried, which has elicited a matter of debate over the undefined lines between free speech and defamation or criminal defamation, as the case may be. So what are your thoughts on this undefined area around both issues, especially in our democracy, and how it bothers on the health of the civic space?
I'm not being tried for any definition or any bloodlines between free speech and criminal definition. I am being punished by people in power for standing up for my right and standing up for the rights of other people. It didn't start today. We have a historical issue. They have a historical anger against me. It's an issue between me and the ruling class in Nigeria that have been destroying the country, that have stood in their way, in the way they do corruption, in the way they carry out impunity. Our security agencies and their leaders, those are the people that are fighting me. Forget about, what they tell you is the reason they arrest me. What was the reason they gave for seizing my NYC certificate? That I discussed politics in 1996 when the military was in power. What was the reason I was expelled from the university? Because I participated in protests, and then twice in those protests, I was expelled from the University of Lagos. What was the reason for my detention, my 5 trials in 2025? Because I said the Inspector General of Police has outlived its usefulness and he should retire. So how is that? What does that have to do with free speech? It has nothing to do. We're talking about impunity. I met a lawyer here before I came in who's been shipped around. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria to come and defend the impunity. One at Deboro. I saw him here. I saw one yesterday. Do you think the DSS will be paying all these, loafers to be going around the media houses to discuss my matter if it is not that they have something fundamental against what I stand for, and the fact that it is creating social awakening in the country? There's nothing about what I've said and what I keep saying that everybody doesn't know, or people don't even say, or that they themselves, when they were in the opposition, did not say. President Tinubu called people all kinds of names. Buhari called people all kinds of names. They called Jonathan all kinds of names in this country. But in my own case, I'm not just calling names. I have facts, and I'm presenting the facts. So I just want you to be clear that the reason why they keep arresting me and sending me to jail has nothing to do with free speech.
So, Mr. Sowore, yes.
At any rate, what is democracy if you can't freely speak your mind?
All right, Mr.
You can't freely associate and move around.
Yeah,
yes.
I know you speak freely, but we must be cautious with language on calling people loafers on live TV, so that we don't disparage anybody. It's my right to describe people who exactly they are. I won't allow somebody disparage you. So please, let's be cautious with the words, so we don't disparage people and. People
come here and tell lies against me, but you don't tell them not to say so. So you don't have to police speech on TV.
Where I'm going to, because you also laid an allegation about
school or primary school.
You also laid an allegation that the DSS actually sent you to where people had tuberculosis. I don't know whether you have evidence to that effect. I just need to address that. But
but they have not. Did they deny it? They sent me. The DSS came to court after I've been granted bail, and I was waiting for the prison authorities to grab me physically, push me in the elevator at gunpoint, and take me to the basement of the Federal High Court, and wanted to drive me to the office until the court was surrounded by protesters. And they then handed me over to prison, and then went to the prison in charge, the person in charge of the prison. The DSS drove me there in a convoy and told the guy to put me where they have people who are sick with tuberculosis. They go and find out from the prison authorities. There's a minister of internal affairs. There's a doctor at Kuje. Let them come and deny that there are no tuberculosis patients that they are treating at Kuje prison. 37 of them and one of them died last week with tuberculosis of the spine. One of them is still there, dying as we speak. So why would I come out and lie about it? Has anybody denied it before you that there are no tuberculosis patients, or that they are not part of the general population?
My comments,
or do they have them in isolation? Yes.
Yeah, my comment was the fact that you said they deliberately sent you there, because I think you said they deliberately sent you there so you can come to the facility.
Of course. I was told that they insisted that I be put in population where there are sick people.
Okay. They will be able to
I'll be put in custodial 4, where there are 4 custodial groups there where they have mass populations.
Mr. Sowore.
And they put me in number 4, and there are 37 people with tobacco. In fact, there's a guy across from my bunk, across from the cell I was, who was coughing every night.
All right, Mr. Sowore, let me throw in my question.
I'm not making this up.
Yes, let me throw in my question so that my colleague can come in, because I haven't asked the question. I just needed to point some of the things you said. My question is,
yes,
the government will say, yes, you have fundamental rights as captured in Chapter 2 of the Constitution. There are so many rights, but there is limits. No right is absolute, because what you said, and we will not go to the substantive issue, it's not just that you called the president name, you called him a criminal, which they consider to be criminally liable, criminal liability in this sense, and I don't want to go because it's in court. So my question will be, if you become president of Nigeria, are you saying that anybody can say anything about a leader, president, no matter how criminally liable, and you're going to allow it under free speech? Just playing the devil's advocate.
I'm not playing the devil's advocate. If I'm president of Nigeria, I will not have time. I mean, I have enough time to police speech. If I'm president of Nigeria and you call me any names, I won't listen to it, because it will be within your rights. And if I feel bad about it, I feel so bad about it, I'll take you to a civil court. But I will not be the president that people call me all kinds of names these days, you know it. You know, even people call me names when they get arrested, I go and bail them out. I'm totally for free speech. I'm totally for democracy. I'm for public participation in government. If you don't believe in democracy, don't contest as president of Nigeria. You have no business being in public office or being a public figure who benefit from public goodwill and ask your SSS to go and arrest somebody because they call you a name that belongs to you. That is the point. It's lack of priority, you know, but most importantly, it has nothing to do with calling him a criminal. They have been after me since I was 18 years old in this country, 1989. The military were after me. They have tried to kill me in this country. The DSS came to court in 2019 to abduct me in front of the judge. The judge ran away. Her wig was flying in the air. The Senate, led by Opeyemi Bamidele, investigated and found out the DSS was wrong. They cover up that audit, investigation, so that the DSS will not be in bad faith. I was abducted in this country. I've been shot at. I was shot with a riot gun in this country. So what was I saying when a police officer shot me? When my nose was broken, what was I doing? Was I not doing what is right? You know, participating in peaceful protest. So you are acting like you don't know these people, or you don't know me, or you don't know what the issue is by saying that, oh, it is about free speech. If you are president, would you go arrest? Why would the president go arrest somebody for speaking his mind about the president? For God's sake, you are the president, quote unquote, of Nigeria, whether I accept you or not. That is the seat you are occupying. Well, that means you have no work. Even the law under which they claim they brought me, it is the person. You cannot be a nominal complaint in it. You have to be the person who will go and complain personally, so that you can defend that you actually felt hurt by what the person said. But if you subpoena the president today, they will tell you that you can't bring the president to court, but the president can take you to court through a third party, a proxy. You can't even prosecute the matter that we are on through a third party. The person who is going to prosecute who is asking to prosecute must be the person who is offended, who has been offended by my speech, according to the case under which I was brought. But these guys, they don't care. This is an era of impunity, and they think they can do anything and get away with it.
Mr. Sowore, we're totally out of time on this segment. We imagine that if you became president, the DSS would be your first place for reforms, but we must anchor at this point. Please don't comment on that.
If I become president, all these DSS guys who have been putting people in prison, in Wawa barracks and all that, you come back and answer for your crimes against humanity.
All right.
If I become the president of Nigeria.
I'm sure
some of them might end up in the
Sowore
ICC.
is the AAC presidential candidate and human rights activist. Thank you so much for coming through on this conversation. You have our best wishes as you continue in the campaigns for 2027. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.